Welcome to Golf in the Good Life, your guide to golf travel across the pond. I'm DJ Jones, he is Connor Evers, and today we are making the case for a little downtime or maybe even a day off during your golf trip overseas. But before we get there, Connor, great to see you, man. It's been a little bit. Our last couple of episodes have been interview style, so we haven't really got to do our normal catch up. What's the latest and greatest on your side of the screen?
Absolutely, Deej. Yeah, we had the great PGA show in Orlando, some decent weather this year for the time we were outside of the show floor, but great time, chatting with PGA professionals that are looking to travel or are going to travel here in the next few months, along with our partners from across the pond too. So great PGA show. And as you said, everything is off and running for 2027. It seems that, counting down Portrush, Muirfield, the Old Course, all the big four are all kind of opening up right around the same time. So it is very busy from a planning perspective for 2027 and kind of putting the final touches on some trips for 2026, some kind of last minute ones as well for kind of late summer, early fall too. But all good things here, Deej. Appreciate it. What about yourself?
Yeah, all's good. And you're exactly right. I feel like we've been talking for the last several years about how busy it is and how early you have to get going and so forth. And like you said, it just creeps earlier and earlier every year. And they're all doing it at like the exact same time, especially for those marquee courses. Like Bill Donald from Royal County Downs said last week, you got to treat them like an event. Treat it like you're going to the Eras Tour or to the Super Bowl or whatever your event might be. But with the right planning, you can get it done. And before we get going on the episode, I had kind of the latest what I'm reading type thing. So this is called A Compendium of Irish Pints. And it was a Cassie Stokes recommendation. If you don't follow Cassie, you should on Instagram. She's awesome, especially if you're going to Ireland. She recommended it. And what a fun little read. I mean, it's basically an A to Z of pub culture, pints, what have you. I mean, there's a couple pages on like every reason to have a pint, Christmas pints, Easter pints, Good Friday pints,
Sure.
she goes through all the different things and, funeral pints. It just goes on and on, but also talks a lot about pub culture and some of our favorite spots in Ireland.
Nice.
So glad I had it pick it up, A Compendium of Irish Pints. But back to today's episode, we are talking about baking in some downtime or maybe even a full day off into your golf trip across the pond. And what sparked this conversation kind of goes back to the end of last year. We ran a survey to hundreds of our most recent travelers from, say, the last several years. It was a much broader survey that reached way beyond our typical post-trip evaluation sort of thing. And one of the key themes that emerged from that survey was the desire for more downtime. On my next trip, I want to have more time to explore. I wish we had taken a day off. I wish we had more time to do this or that or what have you. And it's not anything new. We hear this all the time, but it really got us to thinking about it because the underlying message that we were sort of hearing was that a lot of folks are wanting this in their trip, but they're either not asking for it, afraid to ask for it, and in the planning process, it kind of gets lost in the shuffle. And so maybe we got to change our approach to it as far as more or less giving them permission to take a day off. And so I put together a blog post. It's called Permission to Pause. It's on our site. It'll kind of go through it. But Connor, what is your approach when a group has a desire for some downtime or a day off during their trip, and how do you bake it in that process?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's something that you said it needs to be talked about right off the bat when you kind of start the planning process. As much as our folks want to go over, and maybe it's their first time and they're wanting to do the bucket list trip and play golf every day or some 36 whole days, we know the back of our mind what the end result of that is. And that is, like you said, the last survey that comes back from the trip is we played way too much golf. We wish we would have had some time off to, be in the pubs and what have you. So we know what the final result of that no time off from the golf course is. So it's just kind of having that conversation up front is just be realistic and actually like get to see the countries that you're in and the cities and the towns and the pubs and actually be a tourist, if you will, rather than just a golfer. And I also say, especially part of that conversation is it's tougher to take a day off or have some downtime while you're over there. As we're talking about a lot of these courses, you have to book them in advance super early. Deposits are non-refundable. So if you're over there and you have a 7-day trip and you've got 9 golf courses in, you realize, wow, we've overdone it. I mean, sure, can you just decide to not play Carnoustie or North Berwick? Yeah, but you're going to be out that money. So you need to decide that kind of early. But again, we get it. You want to play as much golf as possible, but we also have to, again, go back to our years of surveys and what folks are saying, that it's just less golf. And that's what kind of, makes the trip. So it's just kind of being real and honest and having that conversation, and again, knowing the end result. So that's kind of how we do it in the planning process, kind of the reasoning why, and go from there. So
Well, that's a great point about it's one thing to plan your trip and then think, okay, well, if I need to take some time off, I can. But if you've lined up your itinerary with 5 or 6 heavy hitters, sure, it's one thing to miss North Berwick or Carnoustie and miss the money, what you've spent for the round. But really what you're missing is the experience. Who on earth wants to skip North Berwick because they're tired? And so it's so easy in the planning process to just kind of line it up and then say, oh, well, we'll figure it out over there. You're right. The reality is very different. I think the main thing that we took away from, especially the feedback from our members, was that it really kind of needs to fall on the captain to
yeah.
give the group permission early on. Because if you think about planning your trips and, let's say you've got a group text thread, you probably should have a group text thread if you don't. And the banter that's going back and forth, and it's a year or two out and everybody's excited and, hey, let's play here, let's do this. You land on a setup. Does anybody really want to speak up in the text thread and say, we should probably take a midweek day off? Remember how tired we were on the last trip? We said we should, and here we're not doing it again. Nobody's gonna to speak up to do that. The groupthink and the excitement kind of takes over, and it's totally understandable. And especially if it's a first trip or a first time in a new region, like you said, you want to check as many of those boxes as possible. And we totally get that. I mean, it's our business to get you on these courses that you want to play, but we also know, like Connor said, the reality of what happens when they come back. And no matter how much we try to consult and navigate and what have you, that, hey, you should consider this, the desire to play that golf and to fill the itinerary takes over. We totally get it. So it falls on the captain to more or less take the reins and say, okay, folks, we're there for 6 days. We're going to play 5 rounds of golf. We're going to have a day off in the middle. And you guys, if you want to add something later or whatever, you can. But we're going to bake this in now so that nobody is forced to either continue through the slog of the day-to-day or skip a round that they absolutely don't want to skip.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, and you're right. And the funny thing is too, is when we do, like maybe the group comes to us and they say, hey, we want to go, I guess the example I gave, 7 nights, 9 rounds of golf. And then you have the conversation, provide some color on it, and then they actually go with what you're providing, and they say, oh, we're not going to play golf on arrival, no 36 whole days, we're going to take a day off in the middle. They come back, they're like, oh my gosh, we got to do a walking tour in Edinburgh or a food tour in Belfast, and actually get to be a part of the culture. And those are the things they talk about rather than golf, which is kind of funny.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, I'm thinking of a particular survey. I think it was actually from either last year or the year before, where the captain said, Mike Walters pushed back hard on my desire to play multiple 36-hole days. He said we should really limit it to just Muirfield, and boy, was he right. So you're right.
Yeah.
When that advice gets taken, it's great. And listen, if you are up and game for 36-hole, 14 rounds in 9 days or whatever, absolutely more power to you. But in our experience, for the majority of groups going, that downtime is usually needed.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point and mentioned Muirfield there. I mean, some good times and good days to be able to have kind of those off days, or maybe after a 36-hole day. So, for example, if you play Muirfield, you have that 36-hole day, say on a Thursday, take the Friday off, enjoy Edinburgh, or do something different. Take that day off because you're going to be exhausted. Another one is mid-trip. So, say if you've got the East Lothian and St. Andrews trip, start in St. Andrews, and in that day off that you move from, say, the Old Course Hotel to the Balmoral in Edinburgh. Take that day off. Maybe get a late checkout at the hotel in St. Andrews. Walk around town, spend a little bit more time there. Get to Edinburgh, you can walk around there too, check in your rooms and have a nice dinner at night. Sounds like a great day to me. So, it's just kind of a relaxing part of that. And again, on those transition days, that helps as well. You get to explore, the new town that you're going to. A lot of times I try and plan it where you do a walking tour. Like for that example, say if you go from Inverness down to Edinburgh and you have a walking tour, of Edinburgh when you get down, before you check into your hotel too. So multiple different things there that you can do, but just something to consider as well.
Well, it's some great strategy because the transition day in particular, because if your itinerary is already pretty jam packed,
Mhm.
you probably haven't had a lot of extra
Yeah.
time to do the exploring.
Mhm.
So your transition day, gosh, yeah, wake up leisurely, go stroll St. Andrews or wherever you are, and then hop in the coach, move to your new spot, get acclimated to the new spot by exploring on your own or doing something different, taking a distillery tour. Yeah, that's the perfect wedge for that time off. But it also, it doesn't always mean taking a day off of golf.
Yeah.
There are so many opportunities to enjoy the game in maybe a more relaxed, low key way compared to a 5 hour
Right.
round at
Mhm.
XYZ heavy hitter top 20 course. I mean, if you're in St. Andrews, you just mentioned, go play the Himalayas.
Yeah.
Go around that thing 2 or 3 times. You will have an absolute blast. Or if you're in East Lothian, grab some hickories and go play Musselburgh or Kingarrick up near St. Andrews. If you're in Ireland, there are so many great little pitch and
Mhm.
putts all over Ireland. I mean, don't get me going on the Doolin pitch and putt. I mean, you
Yeah.
can spend all day there and not regret a minute of it. So, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to play golf. And there's also so much golf that you're going to be able to add emergency golf on the fly if you really want to. I mean, if you're in St. Andrews, yeah, you're probably not going to get out on Carnoustie on a whim, but you can go have a nice round on the
Mhm.
Eden course and you'll have probably an absolute blast
Yeah.
just knocking it around there. You won't have any trouble finding the golf. And it's funny going back to the surveys. How many times have we heard someone say, we didn't have anything planned on whatever day. We went and played London Golf Club, or we played the Bond 9 at Castle Rock because we were passing by, or whatever it might be. And how many times have they said that wound up being one of the highlights of the trip? It happens all the time. But if
Yep.
you don't have that wiggle room, that leeway to
Mhm.
tack something on like that, you miss out on it. So
Yeah.
it doesn't mean no golf. It just means giving yourself a little bit of breathing
Yeah.
room to do something different.
Yeah, kind of an unspoken thing too on that day off is, hey, if you're going for a group of 8 or 12 people, there's the core golf. It's the hotels, it's the dinners you're at. Like that's what everyone's doing. But at the same time, everyone has their own interests and own thoughts. Someone may want to go to the spa and hang out. Someone may want to do a pub day or a pub crawl the entire day. Something maybe in between for another person. Everyone kind of has their own thoughts, and it is nice to kind of get away from the core group. As I mentioned, you, Deej, I mean, last summer I was in Croatia with some friends, and we had like one day off where we kind of do our own thing. And some of us went to a different country, some went to the beach. So everyone kind of has their own interests in what have you. So keep that day off in the middle of the trip. Use that to kind of branch off and do your own thing, and that's very refreshing. Especially in the middle of the trip to kind of come back the following day and get back on the itinerary. Again, everyone has their own interests, and that can be a big thing too. But everyone wants to kind of do their own thing for just one day. So
I think there's some old saying about fish and travel companions both start to stink after a few days.
mm,
And I think it kind of applies. You love the people you're
yep.
with, especially if you're going with family and what have you. But yeah,
Mhm.
everybody needs a little bit of
Yeah.
space. And again, you're giving yourself that option to
Mhm.
have it. I'm thinking back again to last season. I can clearly remember another survey where, gents said, we baked in a day off. Some of us went to the Fairmont Spa on a day pass. Some of us went and played the new course. We
Yep.
picked up a round on the fly. We invited our driver host.
Oh
He
yeah,
wound
remember
up
that
taking
one.
us into the St. Andrews Golf Club. Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
afterwards they all reconvened at the St. Andrews Golf Club, and it's like, yeah, that's a perfect day. Can you
Mhm.
imagine doing your own thing? You get a little bit of quality time to yourself. Everybody reconvenes later in the evening. Maybe not at St. Andrews Golf Club, but wherever you are, you're having dinner and you're catching up. What did you do today? What did you find today? You know, the stories that come out of that are perhaps going to be as great
Yeah.
as, you know, what you encountered on the golf course because you'd already spent 9 hours
Mhm.
together.
Yeah.
So,
Or you find you're in Edinburgh and some guys go out and play golf, like you said, somewhere, Musselburgh, what have you, and the others stay in town. They find a cool pub, and it's like, well, we got to bring you there, and you go the following night. So yeah, it's just one thing after another. But yeah, definitely recommend it, and that day to kind of have your own space is it's key. It's nice.
yeah, it really is. And it's kind of the joy of travel. If part of the group goes out and discovers something, the hype they're going to get
Yeah.
of sharing it with the other half and then the other half sharing what they found. It's all part of it, but it's not something you think about doing up front.
Mhm.
So you've got to
Correct.
think about it up front
Yeah.
and plan for it accordingly. And once it's in the itinerary, you're going to come back and you're going to realize, yeah, that extra day off that we had some point in the middle,
Yeah.
worth every minute. I'm
Yep.
glad we did it.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
all right. Well, this was a quick and
Yeah.
easy one, I think, there for us. Thanks as always for tuning in. If you have any questions, send us an email, golf@haversham.com. You can DM us on social media or head to haversham.com/podcast. Use the record a message feature there to send us your question. We'd love to feature it on an upcoming episode. We will be back again soon with another episode, but until then, we wish you plenty of golf at its finest and life at its best.